We are back here in the top half of the fifth inning with the call of the fifth inning. I turn it back over to Michael Cohen.
And thank you, Nick, as we return here, folks, to the top of the fifth inning 3-3 game. But we have a very special guest here in the booth with us, and that is Ed Ott, of course, the former pitching coach of the Jackals, who had his number retired, as it is now out there in left field, number 14. Ed, first of all, I know we talked a little bit before the game. What was that like to see your number get shown there as a retired number out there in the outfield?
Well, anytime you have your number retired, no matter at what level, you're greatly appreciated for what you've done. And I'm greatly appreciated for the New Jersey Jackals for retiring my number and honoring the job that I did while I was here. Right
now, we'll be leading it off. It will be Sebastian Boucher will lead it off. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not correction. It will be Roberto Ramirez. A little bit spoke too soon right there, so takes it outside now 2-0. So, Ed, last year, this team came very, very close to winning championships. You've seen this team come very close to winning championships over the years. Is it tough when the team loses? You say, I'm still gonna hang it up anyway. Hang it up?
Not really. From my neck up, I still love the game.
Yeah.
And I still want to be in the game. But the thing about it is, my body was telling me to stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to it finally.
So that one's gonna be hit the center field, under it into left field. Coming on is the left fielder Helms. And he puts it away in the fog. You can tell how hard it is to see with the fog here, as that's now going to be an F7.
Like I told my wife, somebody stole the building in center field already.
Exactly. We just talked about that not too long ago. When you look back at your career, let's go back to the Pirates. And I know you talked about a lot about those teams from the 70s. Just kind of reflect a little bit about what those teams meant and how that really helped you as a player and then later on as a coach.
Well, the leadership helped us a tremendous amount, having Willie Stargell being the leader by example, and we also had Dave Parker, the leader by voice. David used to holler and scream and kick and do everything else in the dugout and in the clubhouse, and it was one of those things that just brought the team much closer together.
Right now it's going to be outside for a ball, 1 strike here. Or strike call, 1 ball, 1 strike. Go ahead, Nick.
Now, as you had a little bit of time to think about your coaching career, what's one thing that you do miss about being around the game every day?
Probably not being able to help young players reach their goal in life, and that's to play at the major league level. And that's probably the toughest thing, because you see every one of these kids out here, they'll give their heart to play at the major league level, and they're doing it. When you tell them if you go jump off a bridge tonight, you go 3 for 4 tomorrow, they'll jump off twice. And that's probably the most rewarding thing, is watching these kids have success and continue their careers and hopefully get to that major league level and fulfill their dream.
We'll keep it here with Ed, as there was a strikeout right there of Bryce Massineri for the third out, as John Walter gets 3 up, 3 down. And I know you said earlier you haven't had a chance to watch too much of the Jackals this year, but from what you've seen first, 4.5 innings, what are your impressions so far?
Well, I like the ball club. I think it's going to be a very good defensive ball club. The infield seems to be handling the ground balls and double plays extremely well. The outfield, they got some speed out there that be able to run the balls down. Hitting-wise, I think there's too many guys right now in this ball club pressing. Mm-hmm. Matt Helms is one prime example. I've seen Matt over the last couple of years with Quebec, and he never had an uppercut. And what I'm watching in tonight's game, he's hitting, he's swinging up on all the balls. He's pressing too much and trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark instead of just being the Matt Helms that we saw in Quebec that just constantly wore you out with base hit after base hit. It's just one of those things that these kids got to realize. It's not a game you can play under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going on that topic, Tony Caldwell has been a guy that we've tried to dissect here in the booth, trying to talk about why he's been struggling. From what you've seen tonight, what do you take from what Tony's doing at the plate, and what can he do to kind of get out of this little funk that he's in?
Well, I talked to Tony in the clubhouse while I was watching him, and he brought a bat in, and he's swinging the bat. And I said, Tony, you're doing the same thing that you started doing last year. You're leading too much with your bottom hand. It's like I've always said, when you hold a bat, you hold it by its feet. You hold the bird by its feet, but you don't pinch its head off. And Tony seems to be over-gripping the bat, and all of a sudden, when you over-grip the bat, your bottom hand leads your swing. So when his bat's actually coming through the zone, it's on an angle backwards, and he needs to be, he needs to keep the bat head in the zone longer. So I told him, I said, we worked on it last year. You started using your top hand. You started hitting the ball out of the ballpark, and you started hitting for average. I said, what I'm seeing now is you're not using your top hand again. So hopefully he'll square it out. Now, the last pitch that he swung and struck out on, the high pitch, that was the best swing I've seen him take tonight. But at least he cut it loose. He cut it loose and had the top hand working.
Mm-hmm. Right now, folks, here we go, going into the bottom of the 5th inning. New Jersey and Ottawa is tied at 3 apiece. Hearing you break down some of these hitters, I could tell you can still go out there and get the job done and coach some of these guys up.
I can still do that, Mike. Like I said, from the neck up, I still love the game, and I love to help the players. But the thing about it is, I just don't think I can handle that Canadian bus trip no more.
I hear you. I know. Talk about that Canadian bus trip. As right now, we got Anthony Gomez coming up here to hit as he is 0 for 2. And we took that first trip to Ottawa this year. It was a very long trip. It was a longer trip than I thought it would be. My goodness, it took like 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah, it's about an 8-hour trip. It's just about as far as it is up to Quebec. It's further out west in Canada, but just one of those things that now I have to go to Canada 3 times. So it's one of those things. It's like when I looked up the roster and everything, and then I looked at the schedule and I'm going, oh God, they're going to Canada. Glad I ain't there. But it's one of those things. I'd still love to help the kids as much as I can. But like I said, it'd have to be on the home turf basis.
1 ball, 1 strike here to Gomez as Tyler Wilson's still going strong here for the Ottawa Champions. Champions have a lot of those guys who we've seen before in other teams, Wilson being one of them, former Eagle. 1 ball, 1 strike count here to Gomez as the delivery upcoming. That's going to be outside for a ball right now, 2-1. The league has expanded to a couple teams, and you and I have talked about at times how the league needs to have more teams in the league to make it more competitive. What are your thoughts here on seeing Ottawa and, of course, Sussex County getting back to the front?
Having 6 is great, but having 8 is even better.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you got a travel team and you got a team from Japan, that's playing over here, and they're making up like a 40 or 50 game schedule. But it's one of those things I still like to see 8 teams in this league, constantly. And even the whole schedule out, because right now I don't think the schedule favors New Jersey at all this year. But It's one of those things where, like they say, somebody had to do it. But it just seems that all the things that are bad, New Jersey has to do all 3 of them.
Right now the pitch is on the way. That one's going to be lined into center field for a base hit. And, of course, you're talking about that end of the month where Jackals are in Ottawa and Quebec and then head over to the Midwest. So that's brutal at the end of the season.
Right. It's just one of those things, it's unlucky with the schedule, but like you said, they play a lot of games up in Canada, then they get home, and then they got to go out to the west side. And they don't play very easy teams when they get out there. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things that, we've been very fortunate over the last couple of years. Every time we went to the west side, we finished 500. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things. That's all you root for, is you root to go out there and play 500 and come back here and beat the teams that you have to beat.
Mm-hmm. Nick?
Yeah, throwing the American Association into the mix. Tell us more about the coach's standpoint when you are going on those trips, the toll of going on those. Just talk a little bit more about those, because those are big factors in a season, because those 10 or 11 games you play can ultimately decide if you're going to make the playoffs or not.
Well, it's not only that. It's when this side, the Can-Am League, goes out there, they're at a disadvantage before they even land the plane. For the simple reason is they're allowed to have one more veteran than we are in this league. So therefore they have one less rookie on their ball club. So it forces us to really play as hard as we can, with what we got. And unfortunately, you're going out there. It's kind of like going out there with a squirt gun and you're facing somebody with a 9mm.
Peter Mooney at the plate right now takes it down low for his strike. Right now 1-1. Mooney so far today is 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out 4-3. Jackals and Ottawa Champions tied at 3 here in the bottom of the 5th. Got to ask you, though, how has, did you and Joe have a moment when you guys saw the number out there and you having the presentation? I heard in your voice very emotional as that's popped up down the left field line. Coming on as left fielder Schwartz. He puts it away. There's now 1 out here in this inning on an F7. How emotional was that for you, maybe even for Joe, to see that?
Well, very emotional, because we've been together not only 7 years here in New Jersey, but we were also together 4 years over in Allentown. So it's one, and like I said, you heard me say, I consider him as being my son.
Yeah.
And that's the relationship that we've had over the years that we've known each other. When Joe has a problem, no matter where he is or wherever he's managing, he calls me, and I give him as much advice as I could possibly can. So it's one of those things. Our relationship is tremendous. It's better than a father-son. It's friend to friend.
That's fantastic. And that's, as right now the pitch on the way. Inside and tight for a ball. It's now 1-0 here to Threlkeld. And, of course, tomorrow's Father's Day, and that's kind of what father-son's relationships are in a lot of ways. They are like friend to friend.
Absolutely. Joe and I are best of friends, and we always will be best of friends, and I love to see his little kids grow up, but they're growing up way too fast. They're getting older, and I'm not.
I was failing off. We'll do it again now, 1-1. Go ahead, Nick.
When you see a Jackals team like this where there's not many familiar faces, as a coach, what's the hard part of having to regroup every year with new guys and try to learn these new players as they come in?
Well, that's the biggest key. The hardest part is the first month of the season. You try not to make too many mistakes, and you try not to over-evaluate what you have. What you have to do is you have to let these players go out there and play. We have to learn them as well as they have to learn the coaching staff and the manager, and it's one of those things you got to let them play for a while. Or you can't make decisions off. One guy has a bad game. That's not necessarily may come out and have 4 or 5 good games.
Pitch on the way here is that's a swing and miss by Threll Keldon right now, 2-2. So what do you try to do? Let's say if you are Mark Threlkel in this situation, got a runner on, 1 out. What are you looking to do here in a tie game?
Look here, what you're trying to do is hit the ball up the middle. Think middle, because now if you're a little late, you're going to hit it in the first and second base hole, and if you're a little early, you're going to hit it in the third base and shortstop hole. So it's one of those things you just concentrate being up the middle at all times.
Pitching away is outside right now. 3 balls and 2 strikes here to Threlkel. Jared Schlehuber waiting on deck here for New Jersey. Does it add a little pressure for a team when you have this kind of weather and you really don't know when the game could get cold at some point, to say we got to get a run?
That's probably the furthest thing from your mind. It doesn't matter if it's cold, sunny, hot, or anything. You still got to go out there and perform at the highest level. So you try to put all the elements out of your mind and just go out there and concentrate on the job at hand, and that's see ball, hit ball, see ball, catch ball.
Mm-hmm.
I do have an update on the injury from Drew Sisko. Sore elbow,
okay. 3-2 on the way. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. High cheese, and that's going to be the second out. As Threlkel goes down on strikes, he's now 2 for 3. Jared Schlehuber, who is 1 for 2, grounded into a double play ball that was big earlier in this game, also scored a run. He comes up to bat here. So, Ed, what are you up to now? What are you doing back home?
I got the shortest grass in Virginia because I'm mowing it twice a week.
Okay.
And the fisher got sore lips, so I'm doing a lot of fishing and a lot of mowing. It's just one of those things, trying to stay busy and trying to stay around. And then plus learning how to use the computer and everything. Mm-hmm. I'm following the Jackals every day.
There you go. Right now, pitch on ways. We throw over to first base. Make sure to run second base, rather. Make sure to run it back. Nope. There was no play. Sorry. Safe. As there was a steal. Excuse me, I didn't see it. By Anthony Gomez as he steals. Safe. Right now, runner on second base on the stolen base here. A chance to drive him in here for Schlehuber. Do you stay in touch with some of the players or some players that you've coached with even to this day, last year?
Tony Caldwell and I stayed in touch over the past season because we both like to hunt a lot. You know, so it's one of those seasons. One of those things. I haven't stayed in contact with many because I try to stay hid and I'm in the forest, almost every day. So and I leave my cell phone in the truck.
Right now, 1-1 on the way here to Schlehuber.
When you look at this Jackals team from the couple of innings you've seen and looking at some of the things from stat-wise, what's the one thing that you think this Jackals team has that makes them a serious contender in this Can-Am League?
Well, I think they got the ability to put the ball in play. I don't see them striking out a lot. They put the ball in play. They're aggressive early in the count. And I think Mark earlier, he got 2 base hits on the first pitch. So it's one of those things you just got to stay aggressive, and that's what I like about a young ball club. You got to be aggressive. If you get in the and you'll go right down the line. You can go right down the line to every hitter and say, what pitch do you hit best? And every one of them will tell you the fastball. But, you go up there and take a fastball down the middle of the plate and get in a breaking ball count. It's not in your advantage. So go up there and be aggressive. If you're going to hit the ball early in the count.
1 ball, 2 strike count here as Schlehuber swung through the off-speed pitch in the last pitch. As right now, Wilson brings the hands together. That one's outside, now 2-2 as Schlehuber lays off. Deuce's wild count here. That's our thing here. you probably see it all the time from sitting down there. You probably see the fans doing this, but that's what it is. The deuce is wild.
There you go. Sweet. That's why I play poker. I can't win with them. Hope the Jackals do.
That's right. 2-2 in a way. That will be getting away from the catcher, allowing the runner to move over to third. And we'll do it again here with the runner now 90 feet away here. probably go down as a wild pitch, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to worry more about the fog than you are the rain right now.
Yeah. Right now, full count 3-2. Base hit here is the only option here for the Jackals to try to drive the go-ahead run in.
You see a no doubles infield defense down the third baseline. Third baseman playing very close to the line.
What was your which stadium was this weird, maybe the coolest place to play as a player when you were younger? As that's going to be a cold strike three, late cold strike three. That would do it here. But last couple of questions here, Ed. As a player, what was some of the best places you played at?
I like Dodger Stadium the most, because the lighting was great, the field surface was great. It was fast in the infield, slow in the outfield, but it was just all about nice ballpark. The lighting was fantastic there, and I had a lot of good ball games out there.
Nick?
We've been asking this question to a lot of our interviews for our YouTube stream, and I figured we would ask it here. If you could have dinner with 3 Major League players, whether past or present, who would they be?
Roger Maris would have to be the first one because he was my idol as a young player. I was always number 9 through Little League and Intermediate and American Legion. Willie Stargell, because he's a close friend of mine. He's just a great, fantastic guy to talk to. And Joe Capapietro.
That's a good answer. I like
that is a good answer. I like that. All right. So one last few thoughts, Ed. Just kind of your thoughts here on this day, what it means for you, and just kind of encompass this entire day for you and for your family.
Oh, it's a great thrill. Like I said before, anytime you get inducted or you have your number retired at a ballpark by ownership is a great thrill. It shows you they're rewarding you for the job that you've done at that time. And it's just fantastic coming back and seeing Joe. Seeing Isaac Pavlik and everything, it's just a great thrill for me to come back and see it. And I will be back again.
There you go.
I will be back again on a long homestand.
I will be back, kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
All right, I will be back.
There you go. All right, Ed, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, my pleasure. Good luck the rest of the year, and I'll be following you.
That's right, on Twitter and Facebook. There you go.
All right, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ed. Ed Ott, baseball lifer, baseball legend. Thank you so much. Back after this. Yep. Yep. Oh, man. All right, we'll take one quick break here, folks, and we will turn it over right after this.
Are your kids